Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center at the South Campus, Gateway, 1550 North High Street. Further details online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows online at wcbe.org and like us on Facebook. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
And I'm John DeSando, and this is Cinema Classics.
And we are in the Torpedo Room at the Gateway Film Center. Pretty nice setup.
Can you tell?
Now we're like a triple threat, right? Video, audio, and spiritual.
Now all we have to have are the words to go with it.
Yeah.
Jason Reitman.
Yeah.
Now he's got Labor Day out there now, a film that I like and know very few other people like.
Okay, well, let's paint the picture for everybody.
Yeah.
First of all, Jason Reitman is this young up-and-coming director. He's the son of commercially successful director Ivan Reitman, the man behind Ghostbusters.
You got it. Yeah.
Among many Stripes, many other comedy classics of the 80s. Ivan Reitman has since his career has fallen into disrepair as Jason Reitman's career ascends.
But you know, he gave his son some great advice, I thought, before he started filming Thank You for Smoking.
Okay.
And I think it sets the tone for Jason Reitman as a filmmaker. What are his films like if you could put them all together? Well, I think what his dad told him, he said, it's not your job to be funny. Your barometer for comedy is nowhere as good as your barometer for truth. How about that for a father to a son?
Well, that would explain, yeah, it's great advice. Now, if Ivan Reitman realized that he should be the barometer of comedy, we'd maybe get somewhere.
Right.
Guys, movies these days are awful. But Jason Reitman, what I think is really interesting about Jason Reitman's films, especially from a young guy like that, is that the tone of his films, it's comedy in a minor key. He's not going for big yucks. He's not doing slapstick. He's kind of making these comedies that I always lament. The comedy it's developed through character. He lets scenes play out. There's interaction.
There's social commentary underneath most of what he does, which is what I like about him.
Yeah.
So if you took even Up in the Air, that's a heavy-duty subject. People losing their jobs, white-collar jobs. You have George Clooney going around knocking these people out. That's a tough subject. And the idea of isolation in our culture. But then if you even take Thank You for Smoking.
Thank You for Not Smoking. Thank You for Not Smoking, is it?
No.
Or is it Thank You for Smoking?
I think it's Thank You for Smoking.
Oh, holy mackerel. I'm wrong and you're right.
I know you'll look it up afterwards.
Well, I'll Google it. You're right, I think it's Thank You for Smoking.
Thank You for Smoking.
Okay.
But the idea is, and I think one of the interesting things about that film, for instance, is nobody smokes in that film. So there's a kind of counterintuitive way that he approaches these issues. I mean, the only guy holding a cigar, and that's Robert Duvall in the movie. He's not even smoking it. Just kind of saying, I could smoke this.
He's trying to put you off of the industry by showing you what a smarmy guy Eckhart is, right?
Exactly.
If I recall. I saw that movie one time back in the mid-90s.
He's the quintessence of the contemporary glib TV guy. You've met a few of those in your time.
Oh, glib TV guys? Yeah.
Right. In fact, you might have been one. But and that's that he can get himself out of almost anything until he realizes what all this smoking business is.
So let's look at his career. So I would say Thank You for Smoking is not a great film, but it was a film with that presented a new voice, certainly, a smart filmmaker, and then he
punishes at least 4 about teenage pregnancy, again another social issue.
Yeah.
But totally delightful and brought to us Ellen Page, who was one of the great actresses of our time.
What?
Yes, I think she's wonderful. Just doesn't get enough play. Did you see her in that?
Okay. She's elfin. What are you going to cast her in?
I understand physically. That allows her
one
to
play.
One
of the great actresses of
Yeah, if you have 10 or 20 of them.
That's silly.
She's one.
But okay.
She's one of the great ones. Anyway, so
robbed of an Academy Award nomination for her turn in Inception.
Ah, that's right. Right. Thank you.
Yes,
I understand that. And so, well, anyway, but if you look at that film, there's such great humor in it. I remember the great father and mother couple. you remember it was
Jason,
J.K. Simmons, is it?
Oh, you mean, yeah,
The older couple.
Yes, yes.
And Allison Janney.
Right.
And after Paige's character Juno
Mm-hmm.
tells him that she's pregnant, and you know the usual dad-mom routine would be to be all over her and him and so on.
Right.
And they're very cool about it.
Yeah.
And Janie turns to him and very quietly says, "You know, it's not his fault." Because of course
Right.
Juno had planned it all along.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's that humor.
Yeah, it's again comedy in a minor key. He's not going for belly laughs in that.
That's
movie.
right. Yeah.
Is that Jesse Eisenberg in there? Who is that? Oh no, that's what's
Michael
his face?
Cera.
Michael Cera.
Right,
Yeah, Michael Cera.
right.
Put that guy on the map in a big way too.
Yes. Yes.
That movie was a huge crossover hit. You know, small independent comedy that kind of struck it big with a wider audience,
Yeah.
and that set him up for Up in the Air. Am I right?
Oh boy, that was 2007 for Juno,
Mm-hmm.
2009 for Up in the Air.
Arguably his most assured film.
Say so?
Yeah.
I'd say so. I think that's a good point. Great role for Clooney,
Right?
probably nominated, no doubt.
Anna Kendrick.
Yes.
She got an Oscar nomination out of that.
Yep.
And they just have a great interplay throughout that movie. But you're right, there's this underlying tension that he orchestrates masterfully about these people who are being put out of work. And you're spending the bulk of your time with the people putting them out.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's a high wire act,
Yeah.
but I think deftly done and probably his best film.
The ending of the film, to me, so powerful as the system turns on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think electronically, that's what's happening. Kendrick introduced the electronic
Right,
component
right.
here. Tells somebody.
That's right.
And
Dehumanized.
right, dehumanizes, excellent. And then he gets it.
Mhm.
And he gets the termination.
Right.
That's a wonderful piece of irony. Maybe a little bit too obvious, but I think Reitman does the job. It's
Yeah.
humorous, but it's pathetic at the same
It
time.
is, yeah, and he gives Clooney such a great role and directs him again really well. Like, he's firing on all cylinders there. Now I didn't see the film that came after that. I did not see Charlize Theron in Young Adult.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because she plays a novelist who decides to go back to her hometown and sabotage the marriage of her former love,
Okay.
a high school love. It's a very quirky movie.
Hmm.
Great role for Theron, and the idea of having to come to terms with your past. And actually, here she is, a novelist, supposedly pretty smart,
Yeah.
but has to grow up considerably. So that you didn't see it is no surprise to me. I don't think many people have seen it.
Yeah, I missed
it's
it.
a small
I
movie.
wanted to see it, but I missed
I don't even know if she was nominated. She might have been.
it. I don't think she was nominated.
Okay. At
But
least
I don't
four
know.
of his
Google
actors. At least four of his actors have been nominated.
Well, that brings us to Labor Day.
Yes.
Another movie which I haven't seen and which probably only 4 people have seen.
And I'm the
Jason
fourth.
Reitman, Ivan Reitman, Josh Brolin, and Kate Winslet.
And five.
you,
John
five.
DeSanto, right.
No one has seen this movie. It's the worst reviewed film of Jason Reitman's career. And you know what? I mean, now things get interesting. Now things get interesting.
Sure.
Because here's a guy who has been, you can call it the M. Night Shyamalan dilemma.
Oh
right?
dear, not that bad.
Here's a guy who was so assured, had a couple of great hits under his belt, and then stumbled one time and never recovered.
Oh boy, I don't think so. His other films were so solid, and I will tell you, for the fifth guy who has seen it, I think it's a good little film. It's not great. It's too formulaic. You know, he's jumped out of prison.
Okay?
He commandeers her, Kate Winslet,
Yeah.
and her son.
Right.
Brolin and Winslet are very good together.
Okay.
Secondly, Reitman emphasizes the need she has for physical relationship with a man. Her husband has left her, and she's devastated. The Brolin character kind of is idealized because he can do everything. He fixes the house. They make, the three of them, make an apple pie that is the best apple pie making scene I have ever
I've heard
witnessed.
about this scene, and I've heard it's embarrassing.
It's great, man. It's slushy. It's sexy. And
Where's
he
the
says,
kid?
he says, the kid's right there with him. And
Really?
he says at the beginning, the Brolin character, now let's talk about crust. He's got like, an intonation about as if this were some kind of a mass.
That's why you're responding so well to this scene, is because it's about a manly dude who's like, an expert in the kitchen.
Oh, exactly. And you would love it.
So his kitchen expertise translates to his bedroom expertise?
They're equivalent, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it ends just the way you might expect. People would.
He goes to jail and they love each other.
And they love each other, and guess what happens 20 years later?
They get back.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
You said you didn't see
You
it?
said this well, you said formulaic. I've seen enough films to put this one together. Well, you know, it's unfortunate that, for the most part, in the critical community anyway, this movie is being soundly rejected.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does next. I mean, he is a young filmmaker. I'm assuming, fairly young.
Yes.
With a lot of promise. He's made some really smartly realized films, so hopefully we'll see more from him.
He has a film called Men, Women, and Children coming, and in pre-production, Pale Blue Dot. I don't know what they're both about, but he has two
Let's
films
hope they
coming out.
are better than this one.